7:37. Ms. Wright, could you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please? For me, copy of the civility statement. When communicating with the board, please communicate clearly, concisely, with a respect for the time of others. Listen objectively, carefully, considering the opinions of others. Understand the counterproductive effects of disruptive, demeaning, and intimidating behaviors. Understand and respect district policies and procedures. Maintain a respect for the rich history of the district and the efforts of others who have served in the past. Before we continue with board business tonight, we've all experienced and had some tragic news coming out of Texas, Uvalde, involving an elementary school. I think it was Robb Elementary School, where 19 students and 2 teachers were passed as a result of a horrific event. And what I'd like to do is have a moment of silence to reflect and in our own way to support the families of the students and the staff, the school and the community of Uvalde, Texas. Thank you, everybody. Item 5A, report action taken in closed session. The board will consider and may act on any of the following items in closed session. Any action taken in closed session will be reported in open session as required by law. Closed session may be called at any time during the formal meeting by motion of the Board of Education for the purpose of discussing personnel problem, a pupil problem, a purchase, consultation on a legal problem with an attorney, and with employees, organizations in regards to salaries, fringe benefits. All formal action involving matters must be made in an open conference. Conference of labor negotiations, employee dismissal, discipline, dismissal, discussion, release, conference with legal counsel, and student matters. It's my duty to inform everyone that no action was taken in closed session. Item 6A, public comments, recognitions, and reports. Dr. Zahakian.
Thank you, President Jorgensen. We don't have any public comment cards at this time.
Thank you. 6B, Golden Spotlight. Dr. Zahakian.
Thank you. We will be returning to our Golden Spotlight recognition at our next board meeting on June 9th. So we don't have Golden Spotlight recognition for this evening.
7A, correspondence proposals reports. 7A, ADA representative. None present. 7B, CSEA representative. None. 7C, student representative to the board.
So just an update regarding the high school. We're starting to go into finals weeks for all the classes. I think everyone's kind of counting down the days. Like all the students were all pretty excited to be going out of school and to have our graduation, which will be June 8th on the football field, I believe, as to just, show our support for the class of 2022. And then we'll be having Night of the Stars June 2nd at 7:30 in the gym, which will be recognition for just different achievements of students throughout the year, academically and athletically. And then regarding Meadowlark, they just had their spring ASVO concerts Tuesday and Wednesday night. Both nights had a big crowd supporting the students in the music program, and as it said in an email, was a big thank you to the superintendent and board members who made it out. And tomorrow, Friday, May 27th, is Coffee with the Principal. They hope all the parents are able to join and help discuss the upcoming school year. They are geared up with pom-poms to cheer on and celebrate the 2022 seniors. And their fourth graders will walk the stage to promote to High Desert on June 10th. Ms. Weimer says, although we are eager to see them grown, we are sad to see them leave. So that's all there is regarding Meadowlark, and unfortunately I don't have an update regarding High Desert. So.
Ms. Rudd, what was the date on the senior walks and the student walks?
Let's see if it says. There's no date in here for the senior walk day.
Those are going to be happening in the next week?
The date for the senior walk, we planned for June 8th.
June 8th.
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good, thank you. 17, Superintendent Gold Standard Report.
Thank you, Mr. Jorgensen. This evening I'll be covering two areas, student achievement and community engagement. On May 18th, the Gracious Active Women's Club recognized 4 Vasquez High School seniors with scholarships. We have some wonderful photos up for our community members to view. We're grateful for the Active Women's Club's tireless work in support of our students as they place a special emphasis on providing scholarships to our qualifying Vasquez High School seniors. Thank you for the support also from Supervisor Kathleen Barker's office, Mr. Charles Boswick, Field Rep. He's there in the middle of our screen. Thank you again for your support, Mr. Boswick. Students, congratulations for being recipients of this scholarship. You are on an amazing journey. Treasure each and every moment. The 4 recipients are Nick Costin, who will be attending UC Santa Barbara in the fall, Maya Hurtado, UCLA, Valerie Romero, Fresno State University, and last but not least, Amanda Ames will be attending BYU in the fall. Congratulations to our wonderful students. I'd like to also share the upcoming Night of the Stars at Vasquez High School to be held on June 2nd. Thank you, Haley, for mentioning that as well. We will be awarding 5 students with the Superintendent's Senior Stay Gold Scholarship for the amount of $500 each. Thank you to the 9 seniors who have already submitted their essay as part of the application process. We truly appreciate each and every one of you for your efforts. All right, Haley did mention the successful ASMO Spring Concert this past Tuesday and Wednesday. Thank you to the continued collaboration of one of our wonderful community partners, ASMO. Yet another successful spring concert that was held this past week. Thank you to ASMO's team, Meadowlark's PTO, Meadowlark staff, parents, and students. It was a great turnout. Congratulations to all involved. Lastly, thank you, President Jorgensen, for the moment of silence earlier. I'd like to briefly share with our community some mitigating factors that are in place now and will be in the near future in regards to school safety on our campuses. Additional cameras have been installed at High Desert earlier in the school year. Additional cameras are being looked into for both Vasquez and Meadowlark. A buzz-in system with cameras at all 3 sites for the main school office entrance have already been ordered. Currently, Meadowlark has this feature in place. Additional radios have been ordered to heighten communication on site as well as with personnel at the district office. Signage has been posted several weeks ago on all 3 campuses, instructing staff to keep gates and doors, perimeter doors I should say, locked during instructional hours at all times. In addition, all 3 sites have scheduled lockdown shelter-in-place drills for the week of May 31st, starting this coming Tuesday. Additional training for our staff on active shooter protocol and procedures are scheduled for the fall. And lastly, we'll be incorporating a formal We Tip line on our website and district materials for the entire community to access for the purpose of when we see or know something, we must say something and report. That concludes my report, Mr. Jorgensen. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sarkin. 7E, COVID-19 reports, Dr. Sarkin.
Yes, sir. So COVID-19 cases across LA County continue to rise. Within the week of May 12th through 18th, the Acton and Agua Dulce surrounding area saw 16 new cases and another 11 new cases between May 19th and 25th of May yesterday. In our school community, we have at least 7 positive cases since last Tuesday, and many out sick who are testing and waiting for results. The Department of Public Health has flagged High Desert as having an outbreak. I am unsure if additional measures will be required from DPH, Department of Public Health, but we are keeping our families and High Desert in the loop, so thank you, Nurse Carrie Wright, for that. A general letter went out to all High Desert families yesterday on May 25th, reminding them of basic infection control guidance. We conducted 49 PCR tests this past Monday. 2 were positive, 1 failed, and 2 are processing. Like I mentioned at the last COVID report, for the last board meeting, we are in the process of transitioning from color PCR tests to Helena Health Rapid Antigen Testing. Nurse Carrie went through the required training this past Monday for the new antigen testing. We expect to be fully transitioned by next week. Our next health clinic will be arranged for the beginning of the next school year. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Number 7, submissions. Do we have any, Dr. Zahadi?
There are no submissions at this time, Mr. Ferguson.
8, board member comments. Ms. Jensen.
Good evening. I'll make mine brief. I just wanted to say that was a great event at the Women's Club. I was so happy that I could attend. I don't know, it's one of my favorite things to do at the end of the year. I want to thank the Acton Women's Club for their great work and all that they've done for our students. They got some big checks, which was really nice. I want to thank Nurse Carrie because I think that, we've sort of feel like COVID's kind of gotten a little bit easier, but I don't think it has for her. So I just want to give her a shout out because that's a lot of work and it's still a lot for her to think about. So I want to thank Nurse Carrie publicly for all of her hard work. I do have one question, Dr. Sakian, about May 31st drill. Are you going to let all the parents know prior to the drills? I only say that because if we know it's a drill and they don't, they might,
Absolutely, Ms. Jensen, great question. So our principals at each of our 3 sites have informed their parents, their students, and their staff for the dates for next week. So parents have been informed, so nobody's caught by surprise.
Okay, thank you for that. With that, that's all I have. I just really want to thank our staff, students, parents, all of our volunteers because, woo, it's a busy calendar. There's a lot of work behind the scenes going on currently with wrapping up the school year. I know that we're really excited to have a graduation in person this year and all the events that we haven't had in a few years. So I know our community is really super excited and really just happy to celebrate all the work that our staff and our students have done this school year. So with that, just want to thank our staff for everything they've done. So thank you so much. One last thing, the elusive professional development that our teachers put together. I was able to get a little close. They're probably not going to be happy with me saying this, but I would really like to do a study session and show everybody what you have because that's a very well kept secret. It's amazing. So if we could perhaps ask you to put a little something on the agenda to have them kind of highlight that.
Absolutely. They'll be pleased, and I agree.
She's probably going to be sorry she told me because I just think that what our staff has been doing is amazing. So big shout out to them. So I think like the next board meeting, if you have time, if we could show that, that would be great for people to see the hard work of our toasters. That's amazing. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to start off with the Aadusd concert. I was lucky enough to go 2 nights in a row, and I think that the thing I missed about Aadusd concerts was Charles Bruce. Charles Bruce had been there for I don't know how many years. Every year he brought in some stuff that looked like it came out of a recording studio. He was always there, and even when he was very sick and no one knew that he was very sick, he was still there. Mr. Rob was there. Mr. Rob has always been there. And want to talk a little bit about Emma. Emma is magnificent. I mean, if you're an old man like me and you got as many kids as I do, sometimes when you're in a room and your kid is screeching jingle bells, only I would say that, but at the end of the day, there was a lot of diversity going on last night. There was people playing drums, there were kids singing solos and things like that, stuff I didn't even know. So it looks to me like it wasn't just running through the Christmas Carol list again. There were all kinds of things that were happening that I saw to be different. So Emma, she also brought, I think, her own staff. She had a roadie and a lighting crew and everything else. Her mom, I think, Amanda, was like the roadie crew, so she's a hero there too. Miss Van Ornum, I was always concerned about Asmo moving to the junior high, because once you get in junior high, certain things aren't cool anymore, and I was worried that we would lose those grades. You blended your kids in really well. I don't see where anybody saw anything different. They performed really well. And I was very happy with the way you represented the district at the microphone and recognized the parents and all that, and everybody and all the volunteers. Meredith and Heather from ASMO and PTO, you did a great job in supporting the event. There was a couple suggestions that come to me. People come to me wanting me to do things, and it's not like I can snap my fingers and make them happen, but there were a couple of really good suggestions. One was that maybe the future ASMO events could be held in the Vasquez gym, where it's built for performing arts, I think. And then along with that, someone suggested that there was a time when there was kind of like a community event that was going on simultaneously. I don't know whether it's a fair or what. I mean, Ms. Van Orner would be able to tell you more about that in your next staff meeting. But I think those are really good ideas. There was a lot of community there, a lot of people not listening to music and talking or whatever they were doing, but everybody there was happy. There was a time there where I wondered if ASMO was going to be all right, and it's definitely all right. And Sandy, while you're here, ASMO wouldn't be here if it wouldn't be for you in the first place, so thank you very much. Again, Emma, what a great job. I attended the LAXTA meeting, which is the Los Angeles County School Trustees Association. They conducted their election. I was hoping that the Antelope Valley and this end of North LA would be more represented. Their focus has been on diversification and equity and things like that. And sometimes I think we may have a little bit of a different look at what that means when it comes to practicality in our schools up here. So I voted in a way that would represent that, so we could be, you know, us up here. Nancy Smith was elected, so I was happy about that. There was another trustee from the Hart District that was in the running, but so I voted there. The Acton Women's Club thing was incredible. The kids that won scholarships were unique from other ones that I'd seen, because they're all very academically driven, all soft-spoken. Some of them are I've seen them since they were little kids. Tracy, I'm going to call you out now. Your boy, anytime I've ever seen him, he's the most polite person. Even when everybody's rowdy and freaking out, he's always been very stable and respectful.
Thank you.
I don't think he should undervalue his ability there. He's going to do fine. We had a couple of student athletes there, female student athletes that were also exemplary. And I've known Amanda since she was probably 3 years old, and she could, at that age, outwit me and talk about things I have never thought of. All these kids are very smart and represent our community really well in the academic thing, especially coming out of COVID. We have people that can go out there and perform academically, and these are all really good schools. Okay, let's talk about campus security. You have to understand these people that do what these people do, they just pick people out. They just pick out times when, I mean, some of them happen during these events that are people having, people come together to celebrate, somebody's gonna come in there and do that. And there's a lot of flack going on, the political rhetoric going on about this kind of thing. But the bottom line is, this district put a lot of effort into making sure the campuses were safe. We got to struggle for a really long time with getting certain gates locked and things like that. We've had the deputy sheriff come in. We've got a good relationship with not only the school district. You see little things happening with the county, like there was a bunch of bushes out here where people were having, at Meadowlark, people would be out in the lane, so you just call code enforcement. There was a tree that was hanging there that was reported at the top falling out of it. So we have a really good relationship with people who are with the county, and that relationship extends to our sites where the resident deputy knows these people. But the Raptor system, when I go to the school, I sign in with the Raptor system. Everybody in this town knows me and hates me, but I still put my card out there and say, so please sign in. I noticed that when I go to Meadowlark, there's a buzzer, and I stand out there for 20 minutes, and I can see them all in there saying it's false draft, but there are things in place already, and doors locked and things like that. So the idea that someone would think that we're not doing everything we can, and that we're suddenly putting cameras in and stuff, those cameras and stuff have been on the agenda for a long time, and those contracts were approved and bid, so we're good. I want to talk a little bit about this block scheduling. I want everybody to understand something. Where I work, it takes 51% of the public that's going to be affected by something to participate in the balloting. Now, most of the things I deal with are environmental issues covered by California Environmental Quality Act, but we're not dealing with that here. So I need to separate this out, and I need to be very clear so when people are talking about this in the community, they understand. Staff came forward. Staff are educators. Parents are not educators. Kept our kids at home, it would be a complete failure. So the staff came forward with a recommendation. They've been trying to bring this forward for a couple of years. I think everybody, including me, who went to a trimester school and had 2-hour classes, agreed that it was educationally valid. I think that there were all kinds of efforts made to reach out to the public with SurveyMonkey and things like that. I can't control if somebody votes 10 times or they don't vote at all. I do know that email is becoming increasingly difficult because you get so many of them, you don't know what's important, and then sometimes there are some people who want to know everything from the school, or some people who don't want to know anything from the school. But when the day comes where the message goes out, you need to have your kids here, or you need to pick them up at this time, that's when the masses come forward. So I want to talk a little bit about the numbers. I asked staff for some math the last time. Don't forget, we already voted on this. This is a done deal. But I keep running it up the flagpole because here's what's going to happen. When this finally takes place, the people who don't like it are finally going to wake up, and they're going to come in here, and they're going to stare at me, and they're going to stare at everybody else, and go, what did you do? So with your help, we'll have this in the newspaper a couple more times, and we'll get this where everybody knows. But here's the numbers. There were 270 students at the junior high when the survey was taken. If I do math, and I'm not good at math, I don't think too many people have kids exactly 1 year apart, but I do think over all the grades that are there, it's a pretty safe assumption that there are some families with 2 kids. So let's divide 270 by 2. I come up with 135 even if I'm in Oklahoma. Is that right? There were 76 responses. 50 of them were positive. That's 37.5% of the available people voted in favor, or 37.5% was the response rate. I don't think that's a particularly low response rate at all. Sometimes you get 10% response rates. I saw a time up here where somebody was trying to change the day the school started and they kept putting it back out to get the result somebody wanted. This wasn't done like that. I verified the staff did whatever they could to encourage participation. I would hope that the 6 people who needed additional information, if there was a way that they provided contact information, you would give them a call back and find out that they're okay with that. Sometimes people say, I need additional information, and never tell you how to get a hold of them. But I want it to be known into the record, staff wore themselves out. 66% of the respondents were in favor of this. I think they did pretty good at getting the response they did. And this is a done deal already. Staff has made a recommendation. We're going to modify the teaching schedule so we can move ahead with helping kids that maybe aren't doing so well with math. We got the English learners, I believe, covered to Kelly's satisfaction. And we're going to be incorporating different career tech stuff. So that said, we can talk about this till we're blue in the face. I don't want another bid. I don't want, but the reason I'm doing this is if you don't like this and you're out there listening to it, or you're reading it in the newspaper and you don't think this is a good idea, then you get a hold of the superintendent or you come in here and stand here and tell us that. But I don't see any resistance other than 20 people that maybe thought it was not a good idea. It might have something to do with their schedule, and 6 that needed more. So I think that's a closed deal. Guys, kids, you're at the end of your school year. Don't freak out. I barely graduated. I don't even want to tell that story. I had 140 hours of detention to make up for pulling something prank 2 weeks before I graduated. Do the math. I still graduated, but don't everybody get pressured up. There's a lot to put together. These graduation ceremonies, these commencement ceremonies, I know everybody wants them to be the best they can. The best you can do will be great for everybody, so don't forget that. Brianna?
I want to start off by apologizing to the Acton Women's Club and to ASMO. I had prior engagements and I wasn't able to make the Women's Club luncheon, and I was incredibly disappointed. I was out of town, so I was incredibly disappointed to not be able to attend. As Kelly said, that is one of my favorite events as well. They really put on an incredible event for our community and for our seniors, and they do work really hard throughout the year to put on such an event and to award our seniors with scholarships. So I do want to publicly thank them for all that they do all year, and apologize for not being able to make it. And the ASMO concerts, I was very much looking forward to those, and I had stuff with my kids. So to everybody in ASMO and to all of the parents and kids that were performing, I missed you, and I am very sorry that I didn't go. That said, I was able to go to the Powder Puff football game today. I was actually asked to announce the football game, so it was really nice to be on Vasquez's campus and out on the field and watching those girls doing what they do and the boys supporting. I want to thank Ms. Shoddy, Mr. Tabbitt, Ms. Stillwell, and Mr. Saucedo for being there and having fun with the kids. It was clear that those staff members were in the game as well. So that was really, really cool to watch, and thank you to all of the kids that put that on. It's definitely a kid-run event. So that was really fun. Thank you for having me. So to everybody in ASB and that put that event on, thank you guys for having me. I know this time of year there's a lot of excitement with all of the end of the year celebrations and awards, all of that, the honoring, you know, everybody that has gotten a 4.0 and done so well all year long. I'm very excited for all of our graduates, all of our promoting 8th graders, all of our celebrating 4th graders, and everybody that's ending the year on a high note. I do want to say that I also enjoy celebrating those kids that didn't get the 4.0, that did miss out on that, on the principal's honor board, or the, you know, that didn't get a Student of the Month award this year, that didn't quite make their STAR reading goal or math goal, so they didn't get an award. You're still deserving of an award, you're still deserving of being celebrated, because every day when you go to school, even if you don't try your best that day, you go the next day, and there's always tomorrow, and you keep going and you keep trying. Even if there's a senior that you might not make it you might not be able to walk, and you might have to go to summer school, or you might be a 5th-year senior. As long as you get there, just keep moving. And some kids, it comes very easy and they take big steps. And some kids, it's not easy and you get distracted on the path, and your path kind of goes like this. That's okay, as long as your path keeps moving forward, just at a slower pace. That's fun, just keep going. And we are also proud of you, and you also deserve to be celebrated with everybody else. So congratulations to each and every one of our students. No matter where you are on your path, you are deserved a congratulations. So huge kudos to every single one of you. Huge kudos to all of our staff, because I know some of our staff also take big leaps, and some of us go like this, and that's okay too. So congratulations to all of our staff. We're almost at the end of the year, and then as I was talking to Kelly earlier, that's where the hard part starts, and you're almost there, and we got this. So I will apologize that as far as celebrating with students, I also cannot be at a couple of the awards ceremonies, including the Vasquez ceremony, as I have events with my kids. So I sincerely apologize ahead of time for not being able to attend those events, but congratulations to students and staff.
Thank you, Brianna. Well, first I want to call a shout out to the Acton Women's Club that was able to attend the awards where they recognized 4 of our students. And it was incredible the work that the ladies did, and they got together, and the recognition they were able to provide to our students, and the financial awards that they have to show them hard work to its results. So thank you very much, Acton Women's Club, for your hard work and the continued support of our students here at Vasquez and the district. Like Brianna, I had commitments, so I missed the ASMO, and it's fun to watch the kids do their thing and get out there and with the music, and I was unfortunate I wasn't able to make it, but I heard great things about it, and so it's another one of those kudos board members that Kelly spoke about and Ken spoke about, and I looked at the pictures, and thank you again. Can't do enough for our kids. The comments by the superintendent regarding campus security, and this is not just relates to what we've all witnessed over the last few days, but it's a continuing effort that we are continuing to evolve and look at the needs of our students to make sure that everyone who attends our schools and the parents know that we're doing everything we possibly can, and to make sure that they understand that there's responsibilities they have, even if it's not their classroom. One thing that I know that Dr. Zahaki and I spoke about, and we've spoken a couple of times regarding the events, that see something, say something, and I repeated it. I said, well, yeah, let's add to that, if you know something, do something. So if I see a door that's ajar, I'm going to go close it. I don't report it, I just go close it to secure it. So see something, say something, know something, do something. Looking forward, I want to give a shout out to our new football coach, Coach Pinkston. He has directly engaged with the current staff, the current football players, going down to the 8th graders and having like a commitment signing event where the kids said, yeah, I'm coming to Vasquez, I'm going to be a Hawk, and I'm going to become a Mustang, and he has the banner and has the table, putting them on there with uniforms, and the kids are like, wow, this is really great. So that's new, and he's got an Instagram, he's doing some unique things to rebuild the football and get the kids involved. The athletic director, Ms. Schneider, was actively involved in that, and that there is she went to the Silver League that represents us, and that they're going to introduce a middle school Silver League flag football program for the boys and girls that want to play football, the co-ed flag football, so they can begin to get that feel of things so that they're going to have that encouragement to continue to work with us here and become Mustangs. So a lot of good things going on there, Ms. Van Ornen. Keep up the good work at the High Desert and with Ms. Snyder and coordinating with the Silver League, and then Coach Pinkston going over there and touching base with these kids, making them feel special because they are. I sit back and I sit on the porch and I read and I reflect all the chaos that's going on at the sites now, particularly in the school events the last 2 or 3 weeks. Seniors want to do this, juniors are moving up. And I'm reminded of what it was like when I was at Hart High School. And we had a senior, we had the quad that was always at the front of the campus. And if you can visualize in your head, it was 4 sections. And when I was a freshman, my brother was a senior. Well, the senior had a big chunk of grass, had a shade tree, had a table, had a bench, and bushes. And then across from them was the junior. Well, they just had a bench and bushes. And then you had the sophomore, just had grass. And we freshmen had this little bitty tiny thing like that. So it's these traditions that they're being rekindled at the high school and from the middle school getting up there, that they build these traditions on campus that they want to be a part of that campus. And Vasquez has a unique quad where they can incorporate these with the athletics, with ASMO and all these things. We're moving them from campus to campus to campus. So the kids that starting ASMO at Meadowlark, continuing with Ms. Van Ornen at High Desert, and by the time they get to the high school, that we've got some production, we've got some arts, we've got some things where they can continue to evolve and grow. Same thing goes with academics, and now with athletics, backing it down a little bit, getting the flag football, the girls and boys soccer, the basketball programs, the volleyball programs, all these enrichment things. So kudos to the staff and the volunteers. Now we'll be able to get some, we've agreed to some stipend compensation for the coaches, because coaches worked for 10 cents on the dollar. They're there to do it for the kids, and that's one thing we're very fortunate in our small district. So as we get close to the end of the events, I know everybody's going crazy. Miss Rudd's going, oh, it's almost going to be over, yay! And that's true when we celebrate you on June 8th, all your heart achievements, and that will be the part where we impart you onto the community, and then now you get to go out and make a difference. And we have students all over the place. We have students at the University of London that are directors of development, and we have them doctors in emergency rooms, labor and delivery. We have them all over from our school and from our district and our community. So there's lots of good things happening. Keep the work up, get the finals done, get your paperwork in. Can't get a grade without turning something in, right, Ms. Van Ornen? Got to get those papers in. And parents are probably going, yes, I get the room, I can turn it in, but he's going to be here, she's going off to college. So parents are going to be excited and very proud, and we're going to be proud with them. So keep up the good work, everyone. And that's all I have right now. Okay, number 9, consent agenda. Approval of the consent agenda, which includes items 9A and 9B. The warrant register. Do you have a motion to consider?
A motion.
Brianna, second.
Kelly Jensen, I'll second.
Kelly. Board member Dr. Zaki. Anything?
Unless the board has a question.
Any more discussion with regards to consent items? The only one on the consent items is the warrant register 9B. Hearing nothing, call the question.
Kelly Jensen, aye.
Fallsgraf abstain.
Brianna Texoni, aye.
Mr. Wadsworth is absent. Brianna's aye. I'm aye. We have 1 abstention and 1 absent. 4, 1, 1. 1. It's the area of paper. 10B, business services. 10A was 10A, 5-year arts plan for Acton Aguadulce Unified School District. Have a motion to consider?
This is Kelly, I'll make a motion.
Kelly,
I'll second.
Ken, Dr. Zadaki?
Thank you, Board. It's quite incredible to see the process with the LA Arts Collective and the participants, our stakeholders, being parents, being teachers. We have a student on the committee. I want to thank each and every one of you, Ms. Madsen, Ms. Costin, Ms. Martin, for your time, your diligence, and your input. We could not have done it without you. So tonight we have a presentation of the 5-year plan for consideration for approval by our board. And without further ado, I'll turn it over to Dr. Mirza.
Hello, good evening, board members. It's my pleasure to present to you today's action plan for Acton Aadusd Unified School District. But I would like to, you should go to the next slide. I would like to give a special, shout out to the actual committee and kind of call out their names. So we have Aislinn Cameron, which is a student, Angie Martin, parent, Emma Benatar, which is our asthma music teacher at Meadowlark, Karen Stu, Carrie Owens, who's a teacher. She has a bachelor's in English arts. Marlene Fox, which is a retired teacher. Sandy Madsen, which is a co-founder of ASMO. We also have Sharon Roberts, part of the Arts Council, where she's the president of the Arts Council. Tracy Costan, which is a dance instructor and former ASMO president. And then Kimberly and Melissa. Thank you guys. And so, yeah, we're going to go through the plan, just a quick kind of brief update on what we've completed and kind of go over the strategic goals. So we start with the mission of Acton Aadusd, which is empowering today's learners to thrive in tomorrow's world. The 3 strategic directions that, this is not working out, like, sorry, yeah, that the committee came up with. The first one is implement a well-rounded, sustainable, and equitable arts program. Foster and strengthen community partnerships and involvement. And create ongoing administration and coordination. And funding, which is very important. Next slide. So the vision for the visual arts performing, is that what's supposed to say? Visual and performing arts vision that our planning team established for arts engagement in the district for over the next 5 years. So by 2026, the program will encompass district-level coordination and advocacy for the arts, dynamic reciprocal community involvement, access to comprehensive K-12 music instruction, high-quality instructional arts program for all students, immersive, interdisciplinary, experience-based arts education, sustainable, ongoing funding and dedicated spaces for the arts, ongoing and practical PD, professional development, and collaborative, consistent, and inclusive opportunities to showcase visual and performing arts. I think, Mr. Falgash, you were touching on that earlier, where we have shared spaces, and we talked a lot about that within our committee to make sure to try to bring the events back to the district that we were briefly mentioning, having like a career arts festival, kind of try to bring the community together. And so that was
actually Ms. Van Orum's idea.
okay, perfect. Thank you, Ms. Van Orum. All right, next slide.
It is now.
So we assessed our current reality. We looked at our strengths of Acton and our weaknesses. I mean, we're not going to go through all of those. But for some of the strengths, we have really strong funding, reserve levels, which gives us some flexibility to do a lot of, fund some of these programs. We also applied through the LA Arts for a grant as well. We have dedicated and strong leadership across the district, a superintendent who values and supports the arts. The size of the district, we saw it as a strength with its long, rich history. We thought we could utilize that as a strength. Strong community involvement, dedicated teaching staff, resilience and staying power for keeping the arts alive. We already have some existing arts programs here that we would like to, like the music recorder, handbells, dance. We would like to expand on those. We have the Acton School Music Organization, which we are partnered with. Classified staff who are fully committed, unique community with individuals that actually work in the arts industry, visual and performing arts, we thought, like the movie industry, professional artists within our community, and our proximity to other districts that have flourishing arts programs that are already part of this bigger collaborative with LA Arts. and then very passionate and flexible student body. Are some of the weaknesses, challenges, strengths, opportunities. Right there. So frequent change in leadership, we've talked about that a lot throughout the board meetings. Insufficient amount of student interest, a disconnect between the schools and the community. We have high rates of burnout, insufficient dedicated spaces for the arts, competing priorities, insufficient supplies, no direct instruction in the arts at the high school. Arts are limited to club or after school or at lunch. Outside of music, there's limited instruction in other art forms. At the middle school, instruction is delivered to only 5 to 6 grades. Declining enrollment's obviously an issue that we have to deal with. Limited or sporadic family involvement, and inequitable access due to economic disparity. And so I'm going to pass it over to Melissa. She's going to go over the strategic direction and the goals.
First, I want to say that it was an absolute pleasure for us to work with this team. We don't often see teams that are this passionate and this involved in creating the plan, and just really had some great ideas and some great discussion around the strategic directions and also the vision. So it was an absolute pleasure to work with them, I have to say. So as we developed our strategic directions, we also created goals underneath those strategic directions. So the first strategic direction, as we already mentioned, is to implement a well-rounded, sustainable, and equitable arts program. And the goals under that: create a robust and articulated trajectory of arts learning. Goal number 2, implement sustainable and equitable arts instruction. And goal number 3, provide professional development and resources for teachers, staff, and administrators. So these are the goals under strategic direction 1. Strategic direction 2, foster and strengthen community partnerships and involvement. And under that, the goals are support students with a lifelong appreciation for the arts and access to creative pathways. Goal number 2, partner with the community to implement and deepen arts instruction and experiences. And I have to say that you guys have a rich community here of people that are involved already in arts and creative careers. So what a resource that is for this district. Strategic direction number 3, create ongoing administration, coordination, and funding. And under that direction, goal number 1, build systems of communication and coordination. Goal number 2, secure funding for resources, equipment, and programming. And goal number 3, establish designated and appropriate spaces for the arts. So part of the strategic planning process includes dividing into phases how things will be implemented. So obviously we don't expect that all of these things are going to be done in the very first year of the plan. That would be impossible. And so we had the team go through and work out, and the team members chose the strategic direction that they felt they had the most expertise in or else felt most passionate about, and then they created the implementation part of the plan. So we're just going to show you phase 1 tonight. There are phases 2 and 3, but what happens a lot of times is after we finish phase 1, that first year of the plan, we like the team to take a look and say, okay, what happened this year? What did we accomplish? And what did we maybe need to modify? So that way phases 2 and 3 may change a little in the ensuing years. So for year 1, phase 1 of the implementation plan, again, that strategic direction 1, to implement a well-rounded, sustainable, and equitable arts program. So the goals, that goal, create a robust and articulated trajectory of arts learning. Then we want some actions. We want this plan to have feet. We want it to move. So the first action they decided on was to create a standards-based learning map for each grade level cluster in music and theater. And then also under that same goal, to expand, create music and theater classes at the high school level. So that was already mentioned in one of the challenges, that we need more of those classes. So strategic direction 2, the goal that was addressed under that direction, that foster and strengthen community partnerships and involvement, was to partner with the community, implement and deepen arts instruction and experiences. And everybody was on board about increasing communication with the Acton Agua Dulce Arts Council through student or faculty representatives. And then also under that same goal, to determine the skills and assets within the community by disseminating a survey. So find out what resources are really there that we can make use of here in Acton. So I really identified this with this district. I'm from Santa Clarita. I was a teacher in Saugus for many years, and I just worked with the city of Santa Clarita. They created their own strategic arts plan as a city, and that they're hoping to bring you guys into that as well. I know that this district was also mentioned at some of our meetings. So strategic direction 3, create ongoing administration and coordination and funding. And so the goal under that, the main goal was to secure funding for resources, equipment, and programming. So actions under this direction, incorporate arts priorities and identify actions in LCAP. So that's something that will be an ongoing inclusion in your LCAP plan. And then second action, create opportunities for students to create a website and update content, thus involving them in media arts. The next action, assess equipment and curriculum needs, purchase equipment, and identify curriculum as needed. Again, another ongoing. And a lot of these actions, you'll see in your copies of the plan that they are ongoing. They're going to go through all the phases of the plan. And then the next action, which has already been accomplished, was to apply for the LA County Arts Ed Collective Advancement Grant. So I believe that the notification of that grant comes out in July. So you should be finding out before the new school year whether you received that grant or not. So, and then finally, set funds aside for visual and performing arts field trips and or residencies, another ongoing action that the team felt should be perpetuated through the other 2 phases of the plan. So I would just say, any questions? I know we kind of went through it quickly, but you do have the plan before you.
Correct.
Yes, the entire plan, that the documentation that we provided you for what the work that was done. And again, a really, really excellent team. And we don't often see a student representative on these strategic planning teams. And that she was a very valuable asset on the team. And she was very well spoken and knew, like, had a good finger on the pulse of what is needed. So it was really excellent to have her. And as well, so many community members that are deeply, invested in what happens here. So, any questions?
I have a question, just a comment. First of all, thank you. And before you said what you said, I thought, oh, I know my LAFCO friends, they probably love to work with this district and had a great time putting this plan together. So you said it. So I do have the plan. I know it's very well put together. I want to thank everybody that was on the committee. Arts is so important. I'm glad to see you want to bring it back to high school. We had a stronger arts program at one time, and it's kind of fizzled over the last few years, so I'm happy to see that come back. Support the arts, and I think it's great for our kids and our community. So thank you for all the hard work and for our team, because I know there's a big commitment there. And then we'll be funding most of this stuff through LCAP, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
We added it as one of our goals.
Thank you so much, and I really just appreciate it. Kimberly's out there. I'd like to thank her for her hard work.
It's like we're out there.
Yes, hello, Kimberly. I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Okay, I have a couple of comments about process. Something you should know about me is they did some kind of testing in 2nd grade. They said my functional math skills are abhorrent. They actually used that word, abhorrent. But my theoretical math skills were off the chart. So I think in concept and even at work to this day, it challenges me. I can do charts, I can spew out number sentences, but when it comes time to doing algebraic equations, it's just confusing. It's like painful to look at it. I've written papers about structure, and I don't understand Young's model of elasticity. I can't draw it out. Until one day I went to the Einstein school, and there was a teacher there that was teaching math and was using date palms, M.C. Escher's date palms, and Ansel Adams' 1966 photographs of date rows. And they were having them draw the perspectives of the date palms. So if you could draw 2-point or 3-point perspectives, what happens is you start to recognize biology in there, that if the palm tree is doing this, then inside it must be doing this. And until that moment, I thought, this is all just a bunch of buzz phrase. I mean, how do you work math into art? And so I'm a firm believer in this. One of my frustrations about this is the arts is typically available to the affluent and the ones with resources. I told a story in here that was kind of a tearjerker about a math or an art teacher that came and visited a kid that had bruises on them, and I think it was a life-changing experience. But I'm going to classify this, and don't take what I take as offensive. One of the most offensive things to me is how the school lunch program is funded, because you've got the kids that qualify for free and reduced lunch. And if we could just take the cash register out of the lunchroom, if we could take the food stamps out of the food stamp line, and we can hand people their dignity. This goes down to how much bail is assigned. If I have a $40 million house, I can make $3 million of bail, whereas somebody that doesn't have that. There's so much inequity in this world. And I know a certain part of this, I'm smart enough to know a certain part of this will work. But I'm very excited about that this doesn't have to take, that there's some dignity here, and it's not limited to the resources you have or have not. I'm going to say something else very volatile here. I don't play piano as well as Sandy, and I never will. But let's say I work here, and I pull some card about, well, I have some seniority or I have some employment status. That doesn't make me a better piano player. And so I don't want to see this competition. I'm not going to get deeper in this. I think you all understand what I'm saying. You don't want these politics and weird stuff that's going on where people's reputations are besmirched and they're pushed out the door. I'm not talking about volleyball or anything like that, but the bottom line is, here's what I think will work. Listen carefully, I run programs. I would like to know that somebody's going to look at this, and rather than have a free-for-all of affluence, influence, and affluence, look up that last one especially, that you would say the district has a goal this year of developing programs that look like this. You would ask for requests for proposals like you would for anything else. Certain people, whoever they are, would write a proposal. In line with the district's goal of this, I feel that I can coordinate a program that is this, and here's the basic way this would roll out. This is about how many classes I would need, and here's the type of supports I would need. And then you would have somebody that doesn't have a financial interest or some political interest. Maybe you, ma'am, I'll volunteer you to do this, and whoever the person is on the screen, and I would hand you these applications and say, hey, look at these, not from who the people are, but whether or not they're enough to get the right traction going and something like that. So I would like to see some priorities set where the rubber meets the road, because a lot of this is theory to me. But I think that's a good, fair way to do it. And I don't want somebody pulling credentials when you have people that are highly qualified in the community that are willing to do this. Most of the time they're doing it for free all the time, and a lot of it's a good word to a little kid whose painting looks terrible, but somebody says, hey, that's the coolest thing I ever saw. We are going to be okay. I'm going to be a little political here. This district was in a world of financial hurt. Its focus was on rapid development of charters. I think the teachers, I think the staff, and the students, nobody was really saying, hey, you know what? We're going to make this about us. It's back to being about us now, and us is not about math and English. It's about this kind of thing. So we are coming to a new place, and this is the kind of thing where there's going to be a buzz going out to the community, and people are going to feel really involved instead of just writing a check. But this has such huge promise to be such a social advancement for our kids. So everybody that participated in this, thank you very much. I want this to be pretty tight as far as how it's rolled out. Please ask and define what is it the district is looking for. and encourage those teams or individuals out in the community to put something together that we can measure and say, hey, I think this is a great idea. I don't think you're going to have a really high level that's, I don't know what the word is, that people find really challenging, make this easy for people to participate in. But I would like to hear from my site principals at the end that this is making grades go up in math. This makes things happen in science. And this idea about having an art show, yeah, do that, please. Brianna.
I want to first start off by saying thank you for all the work that's gone into this, and I'm sure many, many hours working your fingers to the bone. So thank you all so very much, everybody in this room. Thank you guys. I do know that kids leave our district because we don't have the performing arts and we don't have the visual arts. And when a teacher leaves that is the teacher of that elective and they move on or they retire and then we don't hire that position, we are doing a disservice to our students. And that's not just the arts, that's kind of across the board. When we have a math teacher leave and we don't hire that, we're doing a disservice to our students. So I know that when Miss Cesari left, and I know that when Miss Miller retired and we don't hire, and so now we don't have a choir, we don't have a drama, we don't have an art program. I walked into High Desert last week and there's painted rocks out on the bricks. That's what Miss Miller did, they painted rocks. I don't know how many of you know there's an art wall that when I started at High Desert, there was this big giant wall that was just bare in the office. It's when you walk in and then you go down the hall to the workroom. It was just bare. So Sage, the maintenance man at the time, and I worked along with the principal at the time really hard on getting that art wall. And all of those classes filled it up, whether it was 5th grade, 6th grade, a lot of Miss Millers, and the kids would come up, can we put this on the art wall? And yeah, let's get it up there. So it's 4 rows of just all this beautiful art, and I saw it dwindling and it made me really sad that Miss Miller's not here, so there's no art going on the art wall. And it was really, that was something physical to see that there's not art going on in that school the way that there used to be. I know that there still is in the younger classes, there's just not, there's not that fire for the arts that there used to be. And it was apparent. So I'm incredibly excited for this. I do personally know kids that have gone to other schools that do have an art program. And it, my question is this, on this it says the budget source is the general fund and the arts grant. This is the arts grant that you just said we won't find out until July if we've received it.
Yes.
So my question is, if we don't receive this arts grant, is this done? What is our plan if we don't receive the arts grant?
Well, first of all, I think you'll receive, if not all, at least some part of the arts grant. So the way that they do these grants is that they have a pool of money and then they rate the applications and then decide how much is available for however many people have qualified and met the criteria of what the grant requires. So I would say I've never known a district really that applied that didn't get something. So I think that's not a worry as much. And I think there are other provisions,
Yeah.
is that correct?
We've put in, we've put in money aside on the LCAP designated specifically for the arts plan. It's under goal 4, action 4.5. You'll see it June 9th when we present that. We specifically tied dollars to it. So we don't want it to die because of the arts grant.
So this isn't something that we're crossing our fingers
Yeah.
and hoping for. This is something we're moving forward.
Yeah,
It's awesome.
with or without the grant.
Yeah, well, I think there's a good chance. I don't think it's something to worry about. Let's just put it that way, so.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Tim, before you close this out, may I, to Brianna's question, I think the assumption is that you don't just put a bunch of buzz phrases together and then I get you to give me whatever it is, $12,000 or something like that. And then I lay back every year and just do the same thing and expect $12,000 to come in. I think there's probably, so what's the reapplication period?
So the way that the grant works is that when you apply and once you're awarded the grant, then you're using the money throughout the year. And then at the end of that time, there's an accountability piece that you have to, one person from the Arts Ed Collective usually in the past has come out to observe what has been done with the money. So it's not like there is some...
Until you decide not to apply for it.
That's not a good idea, the last part.
No, I think we're not decided not to apply for it, yeah.
Yes, yes. In other words, it's always available to all school districts in LA County that are part of this collaborative.
This person is a real person, right?
She is, she's my, kind of
It's
my
not a
boss.
record. It's
She's
not
my boss, kind
a
of.
robot. Oh, it's your boss.
Well,
Yeah.
she probably wouldn't say that, but I say that.
Would you hire this person again?
Absolutely, and I would be honored to work with your school district again, which your district is eligible to have Melissa and I both come back next year to support you with implementing priorities of the plan. So, and that's at no cost to the district, and so we're there to make sure that in that first year of implementation that you're moving those priorities forward.
Okay, thanks. I'm done. Thank you very much.
Okay, you're welcome.
So you said a couple of buzzwords. You said you taught at Saugus?
I did.
At Saugus Elementary?
Yes.
In that district? Well,
Several
that's good
elementary
because
schools in
I'm
Saugus.
a product of Saugus Elementary.
Okay, good for you.
At the old school where,
Oh, yeah.
okay, where the original
Yes,
one.
yes.
Right next to the log cabin.
Yeah, we had the real playground equipment was all steel and there was no safety. Anyway, so this is music. Listen to what this is. And it was, to this day, I keep thinking about it all the time. I visualized going to the Philharmonic and walking way, they put us way up in the nosebleed, so we were way away from everybody. And how they took a bunch of kids down to 5th graders and made it, I don't know, but that was then. But it's that introduction that I liked in your plan where you want to introduce the students to the concept and the idea of the arts. This is something I talked with Dr. Zahaki about when he first came on, and I said, well, this is, you and I are going to chat a lot about electives, arts, drama, play production, things that the kids do so that they can do something other than the academics. The academics, this complements academics. When you get good at this, it's the same concept of athletics.
Yes.
Athletics builds academic success, so does this. So when we were introducing them to them, and students of the burnout, well, the burnout from students is, well, I'm one of those burnouts because my mom was a piano player and instructor. Well, you don't take lessons from your mom because it doesn't work. Well, I can't play the piano, but I certainly appreciate the sounds and the rhythm and the emotions that it engenders in people and the satisfaction that it does. So I appreciate that all the time, and I couple that with the visits, the field trips that I notice that you're taking kids and introducing them to concepts and ideas, and now it's even better with some of the art facilities that are available to us that in Los Angeles that we don't have out here, where we can take and say, well, okay, you want to hear it? This is what it is. So that to me is really a great thing that I loved hearing about. The arts classes, like Ms. Jensen said, we had art at on the old campus, and we had a very exceptional art teacher, coordinated with the local arts to do art shows. My neighbor is an artist, and both people got to watch them put on plays. And we had outdoor, we didn't have a stage, so she created outdoor stages. And so this sharing of facilities, we have a high school campus that has an indoor stage, it has an outdoor stage. We have this to engage our art, and we've got a community that's in the industry, from the construction to the artists. So we've just got a lot of good things going, and I think the hard work that you and the whole committee and every all the members put together is going to be really exceptional. So I'm excited about it. I'm hopeful that get this going up and running, because I love going to places. Because the one thing that carried over from when I went from Hart to Placerita to the Hart District, by the time we got to high school, we created these traditions where we had senior plays, senior films. So we were creating things depicting our 4 years at the campus, and we displayed it for all the other students on the campus, and it was such a hit. Everybody loved it. They just like, oh my gosh, it's crazy. So it's that starting at ASMO at the middle arc and at the elementary level. Get into 5th grade, let's put them on a bus, leave your cell phones at home, you're gonna go down in here, see some stuff, and take them and expose it. So all of these little segments that I was in, it just really intrigued us, so I'm appreciative of all your hard work. Hassan, thank you for your hard work, and make sure you pass it on to all the committee members for their hard work. I see one sitting right there.
You know, we haven't even ever seen each other in person, so it's kind of strange.
I know names,
Real
but
people.
I can't extend my appreciation enough for all the hard work that's kind of bringing this forward for us.
Well, again, the team was a joy to work with, honestly, and some very robust discussions involving what the goals and vision were for this district. And certainly the involvement of the community was foremost on their minds, definitely, and also exposing students to creative career pathways. You know, that was another big priority with the team, like to show students that there are careers available in creative pathways. And so that was another.
My neighbor's sons both work, they're artists in the movie industry, and they're doing all the graphics. They're putting the flames in the fire, and they both work for studios now down, and they're successful, and they're just having a great time. This is awesome. So thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Let's see, we have a motion. Any further board discussion? Hearing none, call a question.
Kelly Jensen, aye.
Falls Graph, aye.
Brianna Texoni, aye.
Tim Jorgensen, aye. Mr. Wadsworth's absent, so we have 4-0-1. 10B, purchase of.
Thank you, board. So,
Are you still teaching in Saugus?
no, I actually teach music in Castaic now. I took early retirement from Saugus and Castaic now me to teach music. So.
It's going to drill you about my teacher, see if you do that.
Oh, well, it was lovely to meet all of you, and thank you so much.
Thank you for coming up, I
You're
appreciate
very
it.
welcome. It's my pleasure. Thank you.
10B, purchase of a sped bus for transportation. Motion to consider.
Kelly Jensen, so
Kelly.
moved.
Brianna, second.
Brianna, Dr. Zahaki.
Thank you, Mr. Jorgensen. This could be, if approved, our 3rd special education bus for our special education students. I think it's a 25-passenger bus, Mr. Mirza.
Yes.
Board member discussion? Hearing none, call a question.
Kelly Jensen, aye.
Falls Graph, aye.
Brianna Texoni, aye.
Tim Jorgensen, aye. Mr. Wadsworth absent, 4-0-1. 10C was pulled, the expanded learning opportunities for plan for summer school year 2022-23 has been pulled, we rescheduled for June 9th. 10D, Memorandum of Understanding Career Connections, 2022-23 Trade Electives Agreement has been pulled, will be rescheduled for June 9th. 10E, paper education quote. Motion to consider.
Kelly Jensen, so moved.
I'll second. Dr. Zahaki.
Thank you. At the last board meeting, we had a demonstration of paper. It's a 24/7 unlimited one-on-one tutoring with certificated teachers that are vetted through the paper vendor. They are throughout LA County. There's just live interaction with subject matter of content experts for our students. Again, there's attached to the board agenda are price quotes. My recommendation to the board would be a 1-year contract for grades 6 through 12, which is approximately $41,000. And I believe, Mr. Mirza, this would be, if approved, coming from ESSER funding. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Jorgensen.
Board member discussion.
I have a question. I thought it was for grades 3 and up. Is it, am I reading that incorrectly?
No, you're correct. There's several
Okay.
options in the price quotes.
Okay.
You start at 3rd grade. It was just my recommendation 6 through 12 for 1 year, but I will leave it up to the board.
No. That's fine. I'm familiar, and I agree that 6th grade is more appropriate, so thank you.
Are you saying-
I was just reading the thing, and I thought that I was reading the paper, so I thought I was missing that. So thank you.
Say the 5th grade.
6 through
Sixth
12.
grade, sixth
I
through,
apologize.
sixth
6
through,
through
sixth
12,
through 12.
yes.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, call the question.
Kelly Jensen, aye.
Falls Grubb, aye.
Brianna Texoni, aye.
Tim Jorgensen, aye. Mr. Wadsworth is absent, 401. 10F, resolution number 2021-22.15, authorizing the use of remote teleconferencing provisions AB 361. Motion to consider.
I'll motion.
Brianna? I'll second. Dr. Zahaki?
We've seen this on the board agenda for quite some time, just authorizing the use of remote teleconferencing moving forward.
Board member discussion? Hearing none, call the question.
Kelly Jensen, aye.
Falls Grubb, aye.
Brianna Texoni, aye.
Tim Jorgensen, aye. Mr. Wadsworth is absent, 401. Personnel and Pupil Services, Personnel Action Report 11A. Motion to consider.
Kelly Jensen, aye.
Kelly. Second, Dr. Zahakian.
On the personnel action report, I just want to make notation of two items. One is a resignation of our transportation coordinator and the rescinding of a resignation of Ms. Kimberly Shaw.
Board member discussion? Hearing none, call the question.
Kelly Jensen, aye.
Falls Grubb, aye.
Brianna Texoni, aye.
Tim Jorgensen, aye. Mr. Wadsworth is absent, 401. 11B, Teacher on Special Assignment, TOSA Visual Arts, Performing Arts, New Job Description. Motion to consider.
Kelly Jensen, so moved.
I'll second.
Ken. Dr. Zahaki.
Sure, thank you. As it was nicely outlined, I think it was strategic goal number 2 in the plan, to create a robust creative pathway. The TOSA will be tasked with creating the robust pathway as a TOSA. This will be 1 FTE VAPA TOSA per the LA Arts Collective, and it would be our intent that the TOSA would be roving between our 3 sites, and this will be nicely supplementing and supporting the mobilizing efforts of the LA Arts Collective plan. Thank you.
Board member discussion.
I have a couple of questions. Number one, is this going to be flown outside on Edgeway, or is it only within the school district for this job?
It's our intent to fly it externally, and of course anyone internally can apply.
And then if it's someone that is chosen inside, I don't know if you've had this discussion, will it, so in other words, if someone applies for it within the district and it's out of the classroom, will we be holding off making sure that that person's replaced before a TOSA?
Absolutely.
And then my other question is, I see in here, it says preferably an administrative experience for a TOSA. Education and experience, it says on the job description, at least 1 year of administrative experiences.
Preferred,
Okay.
but not required. Correct.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Couple questions. What's the supervisory chain on this look like as far as the other TOSAs?
Yes, Mr. Fallsgraf, it'll fall within the education services.
Okay, so when you're going from site to site, is there a commitment that there's some continuity between the sites in terms of how this looks? I don't want supervisory concerns.
Absolutely, that alignment will be in place as well.
Okay, so we're not racing to fill this position just because somebody comes flying in here that no other, I don't want to hire someone else's failure in this area. I'm not impressed with somebody that's been doing this for 40 years. It's okay, Tim. But in other words, I'm looking for the right fit where the program is building. I don't need somebody coming in here that's got a program already that doesn't understand the work the community has done.
Like you said, Mr. Fallsgraf, the right fit is an integral component to making sure that the launch for the Arts Collective is done correctly.
So this isn't a race to fill this?
No.
Yeah.
No.
And we're going to give people that are progressive a good look.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Something like the Aadusd concert looked like the other night, maybe. Thank you.
I do have one more question. I'm sorry to interrupt, but This position will be 100% funded at LCAP?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Brianna?
I don't have any questions.
I have one question. When you talk about admin experience, that to me clouds it. Why are we having admin experience in an arts TOSA? That to me bleeds over that, well, gee, we can use them over here, we'll take them away from arts and have them go do some admin work, because I think we had our previous TOSAs had admin because they would be asked to cover when the principal's off-site, but I'm not sure that I'm comfortable with this TOSA for arts being, keep it clean, keep it focused on arts, rather than getting somebody like what Mr. Falsgraf said, oh, admin experience, oh, I used to be an assistant principal, and then it clouds and people get credentials in the way of competency sometimes, so I'm not sure that I'm comfortable with that admin experience. Why?
We're happy to amend the job description.
I mean, that's just the only thing, it's just, I would put it as a qualifier to me.
Tim, let's loop again. Kelly?
I don't want to encourage or give the incentive, oh, we have this TOSA that has admin, they can go work over here. No, they're arts, they stay with arts there, we do something else there.
I think I want to leave this up to the staff, how they want to fill the position. My question was just, sometimes, if somebody has some administrative work, they can work with several sites, they know how to have some leadership to work on our plan, so I'm comfortable with it either way.
Where I'm at on this is, maybe I wasn't clear enough when I was talking to the LA people. I don't need somebody to come in here and say, oh, I paint this, or I do pottery, or I sew junk on guitars and sell them for highly elevated prices. It's not about that. This is a program coordinator. And administration, to me, doesn't mean that you're a principal or whatever. It means your ability, I hope everyone's listening closely. I want to see how I feel good about this in my world is the district wants to do this. Go to the community, say you understand. I'm going to pick you out, I'm sorry, Sandy. But we want to increase the likelihood that someone is going to keyboard or do something like this. Sandy may get a group of piano teachers together, and I'm not writing this for you, or whatever they are, and do a proposal that says over X number of weeks, we would propose that we supply this level of expertise that will have this level of goal. I have to have someone who has administrative skills enough to encourage that kind of intake, to keep it level, to measure it, and report back on it and make the program go. So I don't see administration being having a principal credential or I'm a superintendent or something like that, but I do have to have somebody that's not pushing their own art, understands art, can tie it and work as a liaison between the teachers and the principals to make this hit the classroom. I want this in the classroom. And at the same time, be able to intake to the community, fill in spots where there's expertise that we don't have and can't hire. So I do think that it needs to differentiate. You don't need an administrative credential, but it's your ability to coordinate programs and to keep records and to report back to an administrative team. That's why I asked the question about what is the supervisory chain here. Don't want turf wars going on here. Okay? I'm not disagreeing with you, Tim. I just think it's a different explanation.
Well, that illustrates my point, is that administration in general business is different than administration in education, because there are a few administrators that can drive a wheelbarrow, though they know how to do it. But now that they're an administrator, there's somebody else that's going to do that, and I'm going to tell them how to do it. Like Ken's saying, we need someone who's going to be that active, a director, having experience that, oh, I can jump in and do that for you. And we have that experience in education that people get credentials and then they think they don't have to do that part because they're this. And it's not they're bad people, it's just that I don't want to put the cloud over this with that administrative credential. I just don't think it's essential. If they want it while we got them here, okay, go get it and come back to us. But I don't think it's something we want to put out front, because when people see, oh, administrative experience, because people are going to apply for this and they're going to see it, they're not going to be looking at the arts, they're going to be looking at that highest earned credential or exposure or experience rather than being the director, the hands-on, the person talking to our community, getting out there and then joining the fray and getting up on the stage and doing stuff. I'm just troubled with...
One more question, if I may. It's a TOSA position, correct? So they wouldn't get admin pay, so I see it as someone that wants to have something else, and they won't be admin pay. So I think that perhaps they have some experience in grant writing as well, if they do have it. And it only says preferably, it's not required. Correct?
Thank you, Ms. Jensen. Correct. It's preferred, it's not required. To me, there's two sides to the coin. We're looking for the well-rounded candidate that has the industry experience and the creative arts experience at the same time, because there's a LA Arts grant at the same time. Typically, there's an administrator who's tied to a grant for the facilitation of the data, the accountability piece as well. So hopefully we have a candidate that could fit, both.
We're looping again, I see here. Are these positions flown by the appropriate employee association?
Yes.
So you didn't have anybody coming in from the certificated group saying that there's somebody going to be coming in from administration and infiltrating the lines of whatever silo I built last week so I can make this grossly ineffective and make sure I'm the one with the credential that gets the stipend? Is that, so there's none of that? So you have your CTE, or your certificated people understand this is happening and have not lodged, and if there is something like that that becomes a concern, do they not have due process rights to be able to file a grievance and say, hey guys, I think this is starting to blend some stuff and get out of control? Are those remedies open?
Of course.
Okay, good, perfect.
Okay, so I was pretty clear on this before, but we're not hiring an administrator, and we're not requiring them to have an administrative credential, and we're not requiring them to do administrative work. We just want them to have that experience
Preferred.
as a well-rounded individual. So we're not hiring a TOSA and expecting them to act as a principal.
That's correct.
Okay, that's what I
Your
understood.
assumptions,
So
all of
thank
the
you
above are correct.
Thank you.
But my last comment is that in the reality of the action of the day, if there's an administrative vacancy on the campus, oh, grab that TOSA and bring her over here. Pull that person away from arts and have to do this because we get we put that caveat in there that they're eligible in our mind of thinking, well, that's an administrator that I can tap. That's a resource that I can tap. We have that affliction in this district that we do that over the years, that we tell people this and then we move them around because it's in that qualifier. I just don't think it's conducive to start, to get this thing off the ground. I want someone with experience that has that, but I don't want people applying because when they look at the qualifications, they're going to be looking at, oh, admin, okay, fine, great. There might be some people that are qualified that don't have admin, but they won't do it because they hear admin in there. They say, oh, I'm going to be asked to do this, or I'm going to be, and just to me it muddles the water. But
Our
consensus is that it's all right, but
We're looping again, we're in a failure loop, Callie.
why are we looking?
I'm sorry, but there's nothing in the duties that say anything about administrative work. It's only in the qualifications. It doesn't have anything in the duties. So with all due respect, I think that we can trust our staff to handle personnel.
Okay, with no due respect, anybody that might be looking at this job, I have a news flash for you. We are the school board. If you're going to apply for this job, you just might listen to what I am saying. I don't know what the rest of them are saying. I just gave explicit instructions. I think the superintendent, your hearing is good today, right? I said that I wanted made very clear what the district's goals are to get this program off the ground. I asked that you would have someone, I think administration in my world is my ability to use an eraser at work. Let's start there. So I have someone that comes forward and says, guys in the community or whoever you are, We are focused on 1, 2, 3. This is the priority. We are going to ask for proposals, program proposals, and we are going to take those in and we're going to implement them and we're going to roll them out, and some third party like the collaborative people are going to give us the money. Look guys, we want them to give us the money every year and even more money next year. And to make it their fault if they won't. So you heard them, everything we say except what I say is a wonderful idea. And so they're going to look at these and say, I think this lines up with what your community wanted. They're not telling us what they wanted. They're taking what the community wanted and saying, I think this fits. I think this will be measurable, because we're all new at this. But I do want those proposals, and I want them to be measurable, and I want them to be equitable. And whatever it takes to make that happen, I don't care who works on it. But in my world, when I write questions, I would have a question for the applicant. This is grossly inappropriate, that you sit down in a room and you type out what I just said. And if you can't do that, you're not considered qualified for the job. Make one of the questions. Tell us how you would administer a RFP process for proposals coming forward that meet the goals. If they can't even discuss what was on the screen and they don't have time to watch this movie and see what the input was from the community, then they shouldn't even be applying for the job. I'll sit on the panel. I know how to tell people no. Brianna.
I'd say that I don't have anything else.
No further discussion, call the question.
Are you done, Kelly?
Kelly Jensen, aye.
Fallscraft, aye.
Brianna Taxoni, aye.
Jim Jorgensen, aye. 401. 11C, Coordinator of Special Education Programs, new job description. Motion to consider.
Kelly Jensen, so moved.
Fallscraft, second.
Dr. Zahaki.
Thank you, Mr. Jorgensen. If this is approved, this will be flown as a part-time position, 30 hours. It would require admin credential, and the reasoning behind the admin credential for special education coordinator position would, of course, to sign off on legal documents such as IEPs, any other legal documents that come forward to our district, as well as measure the special education program for outcomes. The main components of the position, in a nutshell, would be to provide oversight for compliance, and they will also be tasked with developing robust professional development opportunities for our existing special education team. Thank you.
Board member discussion.
I have none.
Oh, I got plenty. Tell me about the supervisory chain on this.
The supervisory chain, it would still fall within educational services.
So I need position, I need titles.
So it'll be Assistant Superintendent of Educational Services.
Okay, so this is not reportable to the individual principals.
No.
Is there going to be support and direction from the office that says that this is about identifying things and there's not any semblance of supervision coming from the site principals?
Direction will be coming from district office.
Wonderful. So I would suspect that this is being flown as a part-time position because there were savings offered up on position controls that were kind of looked at by LACO. People don't understand this, but LACO will tell you you can't have 74 assistant superintendents and 2 teachers. It's a stupid example. But given the outside of our reserve, which we all know where that comes from, I won't belabor that. But if we were self-sufficient right now, we would probably be looking at negative certification very quickly. We don't have the reserve we have. So one of these positions was offered up as a means of cost savings to keep people in the classroom. Okay, I think that was a mistake. Now we're looking back. There's things we can't talk about now. But are we still capturing that savings that we've had doing to aging the position for the amount of time we needed to save that money? That's a yes or no answer.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so when you don't pay anybody, there's no cost except to the students that need the services. have we considered outsourcing this to a party that has a professional credentialing, that has an obligation to their credential outside of their obligation to the district? Do you understand that question?
Just to clarify, Mr. Fallsgraf, are you asking if it would to be approved and flown, prior to flying, have we considered outsourcing to a consultant?
That's a union issue,
Correct.
but there's a functional problem here. If I am a civil engineer, I have an obligation to my own credentialing outside of an agency that works for me to tell me take engineering shortcuts that are inappropriate. If I'm an attorney that's sanctioned by the California Bar, I have an obligation to my own credential outside of the firm that I represent. So what I'm saying is, do we have an ability to bring someone in here who is not going to be influenced by the pressures that are inherent to this? Do you hear what I'm saying?
Yes, thank you for that clarification. Their functionality and integrity is tied to their credential. Thank you.
So, I understand, again, there's things that we can't talk about. I understand the immediate need. I understand the need a year ago for this. But what is the period of time on the salary estimation? Is it for a fiscal year?
Yes, if flown, it would be for a fiscal year.
At X number of hours?
At 30 hours.
Do those hours, are they capped somehow by some LACO structural rule?
There's no structural rule, it's our internal, whether we hire.
So you're not trying to maintain some cap at which the administrative positions in relation to certificated positions is being breached?
No.
Okay. So what we're basically doing is taking a funding source without asking for additional money. So what is going to be the measure of effectiveness on this at, say, 6 months from now? What does it look like?
The outcomes and the data that we're collecting really comes back down to compliance and making sure that the timelines for IEPs are being met and student services are being met in a timely fashion.
Okay. So is it likely that those things being met, which is severely challenging at this time, which is why I'm concerned about the supervisory chain, the reporting chain, and the support that comes with it. I'm not interested in somebody coming in here and telling me what a special education program looked like somewhere else. I will tell you this, staff, listen very carefully. ESY is going to start very soon. Y'all know what ESY is. It's extended school year. And regardless of what's going on right now, that's a new day. And at that day, you can choose to make things different for individual children that day. You can put the adults aside and you can focus on the kids and you can look at their IEPs and ask what's in there and you can start having realistic discussions with people. I don't know that some part-timer is going to run off and use a pry bar being effective if all of a sudden is going to go, I just got hired up over here. I would expect that you're going to come back to us at some point. I expect you're going to ask for more money, but I expect I will hold you to your measures. There's so much I want to say right now that I can't. Thank you.
Right now, there are holes in our SPED program in having a new position and hiring a new person that's going to be solely in charge of our SPED program as a whole. I will expect to see improvements, vast improvements in our SPED program. If things just continue to stay as they are, but yet we have this new person in charge and they're just come in and just keep things moving as is, I will consider that a failure. A failure of this position, a failure of our hiring, a failure of everything. Things need to move up from this point after hiring somebody whose specific job is to improve our SPED program. there's plenty of room for improvement, so it should be quite easy for them to show improvement because there's so many ways where we can improve our SPED program. And I will expect that to be done.
Tim, I'm going to jump in on that. One person coming in here, one part-time position coming in here. Again, I'm doing everything I can not to say a word right now. My own kid is involved in this. Hiring a part-time person to come in here and expect the illness, the structural failures at all levels that's creating this right now, that's not fair, it's not going to work. I'm asking very delicate questions about supervisory chain. This is not about going in and telling a principal, you don't put this kid in the hallway, you don't yell at this kid, you don't punish kids. The most egregious thing I've ever heard. I mean, don't take anything I'm saying as that it would happen here, because I know a lot about SPED. But in what world do you assign a kid to the special education room just because they're acting up without any process? Do you understand what I'm saying? Some kids are acting up, so you put him as a punishment and a humiliation to the other people into a SPED room. And we're going to fix that with one person coming on part-time. I will not be up here come December. I will be out in the audience. And at that point, I'll talk about anything I want. I'll talk about what's been happening back there at every school. What are you going to do, have me arrested? The LA Times will be in here writing stories about people. This is not about the position you're hiring. This is about a systematic illness that's been going on so long it'll make me sick. It's almost like the EL thing. I'll talk about that in a minute. I'm sorry, but this isn't just putting a Band-Aid over by bringing somebody in here and they get such resistance that they go away. Anybody else got comments?
I think in summary that this is, the key element here is coordinator in my mind, is the coordinator to make sure that the entire team, the caseworkers, the teachers, the support staff, are meeting the needs of our special education students and making sure that all the dots are dotted and all the T's are crossed and we get those evaluations, parent rights are protected, and it's a coordinator. So they're not doing it by themselves, they're just helping the team be better at what they do.
That's correct.
One more time, I'm not done now. Every time somebody opens their mouth, I'm going to hit it again. What this person does is they look at one child and they say, this kid is not moving ahead educationally because of this. They need this support. That's what this person does. They don't get put in a position to go tell this person and this person's. They look at one child at a time. They're not here to be worked over by professional fleecers who move from this district over to this district because we don't have a good program and we're not staffed and we're very well intended. You show me one person in this district and name them that would hurt a special education child physically, emotionally, or behaviorally, I will have them arrested. We don't have that here. So be clear about what this is. It's not a Band-Aid. I gave you a point. Listen carefully. I talk in circles. Close the circle. Connect the dots. ESY is your first day. You have the least number of kids. You have those kids that have the most significant needs in a room. Start there right now. What day is it? What day does it start? After Juneteenth? Okay? Look at those kids in the room. Look at their IEPs and ask yourself, is what it says in the IEP, is that some makeup garbage for some parent that's beating on you with an attorney just because you dropped the ball a couple times? Make it about the child's education. Identify those issues that say, this is going to impede this child from moving ahead. This isn't a popularity contest. This person is to identify those things. We need to have competency in that position. I don't see a part-time position filling that need. I will expect that you will review this position, but I will expect that there's very clear direction, once again, from the superintendent's office. We're going to focus on one kid at a time, develop need and measure need. There's such special education hate in this district. It makes me sick. Anybody else want to jump in again?
Call the question.
Kelly Jensen, aye.
Abstain.
Brianna Texoni, aye.
Tim Jorgensen, aye. 4, 0, 1, 1. Mr. Wadsworth is absent. 3, 0, 1, 1, sorry. 12A, Memorandum of Understanding, MOU Agreement for participation in the Center for Teaching Preparation Induction Program of Education for the 2022-2023 school year. Doctors, motion to consider.
Kelly Jensen, aye.
Kelly.
I'll second.
Brianna. Dr. Zahakian.
Thank you, President Jorgensen. We are recommending that the district enter into an agreement, MOU agreement with Riverside County Office of Education for their induction program support and services. They offer a robust program to our district if approved. They actually provide us the piece to actually grow our own capacity in order to build sustainability by building our own team here to carry forward these efforts with our new teachers. In comparison, with all due respect to our wonderful LACO partners, that's the difference between Riverside County and LACO's induction program.
Board member discussion? Hearing none, call the question.
Wait a
Kelly-
minute. Are we, do you have something?
No.
Are we going to be accused of being an out-of-boundary charter?
No.
Never mind. Hit it.
Call
Kelly
the
Jensen,
question.
aye.
Kelly.
Falls Graph, aye.
Brianna Texoni, aye.
Tim Jorgensen, aye. 4, 0, 1. Mr. Wadsworth is absent. 12B, Amplify Science Prize, quote, K through 5th grade. Motion to consider.
Kelly Jensen, aye.
Kelly.
Brianna Texoni.
Brianna. Dr. Zahakian.
It's our recommendation that the board approve Amplify Science grades K through 5.
Board member discussion? Hearing none, call the question.
Kelly Jensen, aye.
Falls Graph, aye.
Brianna Texoni, aye.
Tim Jorgensen, aye. 401, Mr. Wadsworth is absent. 12C, Amplify Science Prize, quote, 6th through 8th grade. Motion to consider.
Kelly Jensen,
Brianna.
Brianna. Dr. Zahakian.
Thank you, Mr. Jorgensen. Staff's recommendation is to approve, for the board to approve Amplify for grades 6th through 8th grade science adoption, please.
For 104, 792, 18. Board member discussion. Hearing none, call the question.
Kelly Jensen, aye.
Falls Graph, aye.
Brianna Texoni, aye.
Tim Jorgensen, aye. 401, Mr. Wadsworth is absent. 12D, second read and adoption master plan for English learners, Acton-Agua Dulce School District 2021 through 2022. Motion to consider.
Kelly Jensen, aye.
Kelly. I'll second. Dr. Zahakian.
Thank you. We took the questions that were brought from our trustees when we had our first read for the EL master plan at our last board meeting to our DLAC committee that was held last week. Some of the comments that were brought forward by our trustees, for example, the benchmark curriculum that was purchased. Ms. Jana Largent and her team shared some of the updates of identifying the curriculum benchmark and then moving forward and creating a robust curriculum moving forward for 22-23, and that was shared with our DLAC committee last week. So I want to give that update.
Board member discussion.
So are you going to be using benchmark for the elementary, or you're looking at the materials?
They're looking at, the team is looking at the materials at this time.
Okay. If I could, I have a couple of questions, because I didn't see the attachment, so were there any other changes made?
There were no
Other than
new,
just the discussion with DLAC?
correct.
Just a couple of things. On page 15, there's a bullet on page 15, the very first, let me see where did it go now? There's just a typo, I think it's missing something on DLAC. So 15. At the top, there's some bullets. The last bullet, I think it's supposed to say if DLAC acts as the English Learner Parent Advisory, and there's just, it's missing the E in DLAC, if you can make that correction on the typo.
Okay, we made that notation. Thank you.
Okay, and then I'm still not clear if we are providing 30 minutes of ELD during designated ELD, not integrated. Are we, because at one point we talked about 20 minutes, and I was asking the question if it's 30 minutes of designated ELD daily.
And that was clarified, and just to respond to your question at the DLAC meeting last week, it was 30.
Okay, so if we could make sure that's happening, and I would like to know if it's on the master schedules for next year. I don't believe it was this year. Is it on the school's master schedule so we know when designated ELD is happening and making sure our staff is everyone's clear of the difference between designated and integrated ELD?
Excellent question. In previewing the master schedules for the secondary grades, it is now identified specifically as an ELD section moving forward.
Okay, and I have two more questions. My other question is, I know we have some of our intervention programs, making sure that intervention does not occur at the same time as designated ELD, so if we have ELs that need those services, that is being provided.
That's noted. Thank you.
Okay, I'd like to see that on master schedules as well. Because I like to know that if anyone walks in school, if it's designated ELD time, I expect to see a designated ELD and not something else. And then my other question is, of course, the ELD roadmap is a big part of this plan, and it's something that we've been asked to do in the state of California. And I know you can. I don't expect an answer tonight because I know you have to meet with your staff. But I would like to know sort of a timeline, if you could report back to the board when we're going to be training staff, or have we, not that I'm aware of, any professional development around the ELD roadmap.
Thank you. Noted.
And of course our DLAC groups as well. So thank you. And thank you to our DLAC parents as well, and our staff.
Okay, speaking of the staff development, are those not negotiated, the staff development negotiated?
Yes.
Is there still a remaining level of pushback at the sites about the rollout of this? Or would you say that's improving? What a weird question. Don't answer that, because since you got here, suddenly this is going to happen. So I have sat up here and been embarrassed for years, because this is just, but it just doesn't happen. Now this year, I was told at the last board meeting that everybody who needed an assessment was going to get an assessment, except the 2 people that they couldn't get a hold of. Have we been able to get a hold of those people?
Yes.
So are we at 100%?
Yes.
Have the assessments been done?
Yes.
This is exactly what I'm talking about. The people that do the assessments don't tell you, you have to teach it. So the assessment, what the kids need is known. So it's up to the culture of the organization, administration of the organization now, to say you're going to do this, or we're out of state compliance. Kelly's got a really weird way of saying we're illegal. We're out of state compliance if we don't do these things. So when you negotiate with your whoever union you're negotiating with, do they understand the importance of this compliance, or do I need to come to the negotiation session?
They understand completely.
I hope so. Because I don't want these kids to lag like English learner or the SPED kids. So what do we do when we got a SPED kid who's also an English learner? That was a theoretical, quite rhetorical question. I'm very impressed. I know where this happened. This happened with the TOSA program. This is where it started. Kim Shaw and her TOSAs are the ones pushing through this, and they're moving around. Help the resistance. I don't want site resistance. I don't want classroom resistance. There's nothing wrong with you saying, I don't know how to do this. People just don't know how to do it. I'm going to have some comments about the site student achievement plan, and we'll speak to that. But this has come farther than anything that I've ever seen. and I'm very proud of the team. And I'm not inferring the teachers don't want to do this. You got to give them the opportunity to do it and the tools to use it and the understanding to do it to make it meaningful for them. I can't just bark orders and say, do this. I've never seen such progress anywhere in this district than here. And in fact, there's been people that I think sit on the ELAC and DLAC committees in the board meeting, and I would hope that they're invited to the board meeting routinely. Okay, Brianna.
I don't have any comments.
Call the question.
I have one more thing to say, I'm sorry. Just so we're clear, on benchmark, if they're supplementing and they're not, it won't coordinate. So I don't want the team to think that that's the expectation of the Board of Trustees is to have that is the curriculum. I expect the team to vet and use what they think is best for our students.
Absolutely.
So I didn't want to get the impression that that would be my expectation.
I forgot something, put up a historical marker. Is there any indication that what Kelly was just saying about benchmark is that integral to this? Because one of my direct reports, his wife is the regional implementation director for the entire Western United States for benchmark.
No, it's curriculum, for supplemental curriculum.
So I'm not voting
So it's
on
not-
anything for curriculum. Y'all all
No.
right back there? No, okay.
That answers
Good, thank you.
We do these awareness checks all the time. Make sure everybody's awake and doing them. Call the question.
Kelly Jensen, aye.
Are we voting on the pest control contractor? Paul's draft, aye.
Anna Texel, aye.
Majority said aye. 401, Mr. Wadsworth is absent. 12E, school plan for student achievement, SPSA, Meadowlark High Desert, Vasquez High School, first read. Dr. Zahaki?
So based on the CD template, the school plan for student achievement, we worked with our principals, and thank you to the principals for their time and their energy. It's really the blueprint for the sites, and it's really aligned to the district's approved LCAP plan. And like you said, Mr. Jorgensen, it's the first read. So the SIPSA covers school and student performance data, as well as goals and strategies, and really expenditures in order to meet those goals and the strategies. So within the SIPSA plan, for each respective school site, you'll find some comparative academic performance data on students. And as we all know, given the 2021 academic year, we did not have standardized test scores, so I just want to put that out there. So again, thank you to the site principals, thank you to the school site councils for taking a look at the SIPSAs, approving the SIPSAs, and it is our intent to take this plan and move it forward for the 22-23 school year.
Board member discussion?
I have
So I looked through this document, thank you for everybody that participated. But what I was seeing is the CDE, they gave you the template. It's almost like it says, hey, we screwed up everything, we shut your whole school down, and now what are you gonna do to fix it? Where your kids are having behavioral issues, are antisocial, and their grades are failing, and you need more resource support that we're not gonna give you money for. That's what I read. Thank you all for participating with an impossible task.
I don't have any comments.
I have no comments as well. All right, 13A, calendar. The next scheduled board meeting will be on June 9th, followed by our final one for the fiscal year, June 23rd. 14A, future agenda items. Board members, anything for future agenda? Dr. Zahakian?
Not at this time.
Nothing. Board members? Nothing. And 15A, adjournment. Do I have a motion?
A motion.
I'll second.
Brianna? Kelly? Call the question.
Kelly Jensen, aye.
Paul's draft, aye.
Brianna Texel, aye.
Tim Jordan tonight, 401. We stand adjourned at 9:44. Yeah, thank you, everybody. Enjoy it.